This video is an explanation of the fourth argument in my video, A Brief Argument for Christianity. The argument goes as follows. No composite being has existence in itself. Whatever is more than one is composed of a part that is the same as the others and a part that is different from the others. Thus, what has existence in itself is not more than one. Premise 1 is just the conclusion of the second argument in this series, so I would encourage you to watch that video if you want to know how I come to that conclusion. Premise 2 can be derived from the principle of the identity of indiscernibles, which I explained in argument 1. We've already established that in argument 3 that God's is identical to existence itself. So suppose that we had two gods, both of which are identical to existence itself. According to the principle of the identity of indiscernibles, these two would be the same unless there is something by which these two can be differentiated. Now, one way something could be made to be different is by a part. So we could say that one of the gods, for example, has a beard, and the other one has a mustache. But this would make God have existence and a beard, or a mustache, which would make God composed of parts, which would violate premise 1 of this argument. Thus, you can see from this argument that if we need something in addition to just existence itself in order to differentiate the two different gods, you can only have one God. Now, some might object here that this is not the only cause of distinctions. You can also form distinctions by relations. Technically, this is correct. When a woman becomes a grandmother, for example, there is a distinction between being a grandmother and not being a grandmother. And this is due to a relation to a child being conceived rather than by a different part of the grandmother coming to be. Similarly, Christians hold that the persons of the Trinity are distinct by relations. That said, these relations do not cause distinct substances to exist. When a woman becomes a grandmother, the two different human beings do not begin to exist. Similarly, although the persons of the Trinity are distinct by relations, there is still one substance, and hence why Christians hold to monotheism. So this doesn't seem to be a way around the problem. It seems like relations, although causing distinctions, do not cause different substances or different beings to exist. Another argument someone might make is that the mustache example is an example of adding something to God. However, things can also be distinct by limitation. Think about colors, for example. Red and blue are both colors, so they are the same in the sense that they are both colors. But they are also different in a sense. Why are they the same in the sense that they are colors? Well, because what a color is in itself includes red and blue. These are types of colors. So when you have a specific color, some would argue, this is a limited participation in color itself. Hence, the difference between red and blue isn't that anything is added on top of colors, but that they are limited manifestations of color. This also will not work because, as was said in argument 3, God is identical to existence itself. The color red may be a color, but is not identical to color itself. Furthermore, this sort of participation relation between color and red presupposes something higher than itself which is the ultimate source of that activity. In other words, the existence of red presupposes the existence of color itself, since, say, red and blue have to be united in some way, and the unity is inside of the universal of color. Since that, of course, would make God dependent on his existence on something else higher than himself, that would also be problematic. I think there is also something to be said for the idea that limitation is a sort of composition, since there must be a principle of limitation and a principle which is limited. It is apparent from these points that it is only possible for God to be one. Thanks for watching.